Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to AMA today. We have with us a very esteemed panel and a very interesting conversation that is going to be held with Mr. Sanjay Chakravarti. This is a series, this is the second part of the series that we are having at AMA once a month. And this is this next generation entrepreneurs and how they're taking it forward. So at our very own and old AMA, we have young people, and they will be telling us what the way ahead is. Today we have with us Dr. Adit Desai, who is the co-founder and director of medical edtech startup Doc Tutorials, which coaches more than 2 lakh medical students to clear multiple entrance exams during the course of their medical journey. He's also the managing director of K.D. Hospital in Ahmedabad, which is, of course, a very famous 300-bed multi-specialty hospital that manages a team of 120 doctors and more than 1,000 employees. Dr. Desai did his undergraduation from Ahmedabad NHL Medical College, and he did his national chairman. He's the national chairman of Indian Medical Association Junior Doctors Network. This represents approximately 30,000 doctors in India, and he's the voice of the doctors in India as well. During his college days, he was the national president of Medical Students Association of India that represents more than 25,000 medical students across the country. As a part of his organization, he has represented India on a global scale in countries like Africa, Europe, and North America. During his tenure in MSAI, he also participated at the Harvard School of Public Health in its research on disease surveillance during the Kumbh Mela in Nasik in an individual capacity. He was a part of the team that carried out the documentation and data surveillance of outbreaks during the Kumbh Mela gathering. He is also the youngest doctor from India to attend the World Health Assembly as part of the International Federation of Medical Students Association and represent the country and MSAI on a global scale. He is also one of the youngest doctors of the country to give a TEDx talk. We are really privileged to have him with us today, and he'll be sharing his ideas as well. We have with us Ms. Kanha Bakeri, who hails from a family renowned for its illustrious legacy in the real estate development sector. Who doesn't know the Bakeri family? With a family tradition spanning over 7 decades in the industry, the foundations of entrepreneurship were established at an early age. Under the guidance of her father, Mr. Taral Bakeri, Ms. Kanha Bakeri has been actively involved in her family business since her formative years. After completing her degree in entrepreneurship and business from London, she joined her father's business. In the last 4 years, she has been instrumental in the management and evolution of the family business. She started out with roles in different departments, but now she plays a comprehensive role overseeing all facets of the real estate development business. As a female leader in a traditionally male-dominated industry, she has shattered barriers and paved the way for greater diversity and inclusion. We are really honored to have you amidst us, Ms. Bakeri. And we have Mr. Vanjam Soni with us. He is the 3rd generation entrepreneur of the family-owned esteemed organization 𝒏𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒐𝒏, a name everyone is familiar with in Ahmedabad. 𝒏𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒐𝒏 is a name that is synonymous with purity, quality, and trust, and has always striven to provide better services since 7 decades. It continues to do so. It is now one of the largest showrooms of Gujarat. Vanjam Soni successfully qualified himself in BS Finance, BS Computer Science from Penn State University. But industry learning did not stop here. He is a certified gemologist from the globally acclaimed GIA New York. He has taken the legacy ahead since 2017, spearheading the entire diamond business of 𝒏𝒏𝒔𝒊𝒐𝒏𝒔, including the responsibility of identifying the trends, sourcing, and manufacturing them. With his passionate involvement, the division is witnessing commendable growth and scaling new heights year after year. Mr. Soni is an avid traveler and passionately follows soccer to rejuvenate himself. 𝒏𝒏𝒔𝒊𝒐𝒏 has a dedicated center for skill development at AMA that runs under the name of 𝒏𝒏𝒔𝒊𝒐𝒏 Professional Skill Development Center. A lot of trainings are conducted in this center. We welcome you, Mr. Soni. And our host and moderator for the evening is our very own Mr. Sanjay Chakravarti, who is a member of the PR committee at AMA. We welcome you also, sir, today. Before we begin, we'll play a small video of the first part of the series of Generation to Generations that was held in the month of July. That's a small video that we'll be playing before we begin with this panel today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Marika, for such a lovely introduction. Let us all once again welcome the guest here with a big round of applause. And let's be not so serious. We'll have a very nice interactive session. So, very good evening, friends. I will start the with an interesting quote this day. Entrepreneurship is living few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. Right? Family business is the oldest and the most common form of business globally. Academicians, professionals, and practitioners found that it is the most complex and difficult to manage over generations. The family business entrepreneurs need to simultaneously plan and manage family harmony and the business prosperity. Gujarat is full of family business. Many of them are more than 75 to 100 years, where when priorities approach towards innovation and business models were very different. With the country evolving landscape came a new opportunities and challenges, thus changing the game of every generation. But what has remained constant was the core value system of the family. The younger generation of the family businesses are expanding into new markets while introducing innovative technology and marketing tools. The next generation role is that of renewing and be the voice of generation, modern customers and competition. We believe they understand the legacy because they are in the family, because they can be change agents to make sure the family enterprises can continuously being successful. The challenge for the next generation has been to find the right balance between the striking and the core values while still implementing much needed changes to create value for their businesses. As Peter Drucker very nicely said, entrepreneurship is neither a science nor an art, it's a practice. Right? So today we are privileged to have 3 practitioners of entrepreneurship with us, who are also the next generation entrepreneurs. I have been fortunate to work with 2 of them from the day they started their business. And I was also fortunate to be one of the TEDx speakers with Adit, I think 7 years back, right? So we've been knowing each other very well. So I thought, why not we have an interesting session here. So today let's unveil, explore, discover, understand, uncover and decode the secrets of their journey and success. So I jotted down few interesting questions and I'll ask them, and the panelists can also add to the other answer, and at the end we have got a segment where the audience can ask questions subject to they are not proprietary in nature and not personal in nature. Okay, and I always say it should not be what is the turnover and what is the profit margin, except that you can ask anything in this world. Okay, so let me start with the lady in the forum. Okay, and this question goes to everyone. It said, let us know about your professional journey till now. Mike. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you all for being here. I'm sure all of you achieved a lot more than what we have done in these few years in your respective industries, but you still come here to listen to us next gens. So thank you for being here. And coming to your question, about my professional journey. Actually, I just returned from London after my education. I was still 21, 22 years old, and I was still exploring what I wanted to do, figuring out a few business ideas that I had. And during that time, I think less than a month, then I was back in Ahmedabad. My father and the company was launching a new project. And before that, my father wanted to conduct a basic research survey about that project. So he just asked me if I could help him out, and I said, sure, why not? I went to the site the next day. I thought I'll just going casually. I'll be done with this work in like 4 or 5 days and be back researching about the thing that I wanted to do. But in those 4 days, I had so much of new things that I saw, met so many people, met Sanjay Bhai, I think, at that time itself. Yeah. And thought I can do this for a little more time. And I started working, and since that day, I don't think that I've ever looked back. So that was something I started enjoying, new things every day, new challenges every day, and I started loving it. And it's been 4 years now since I'm working, a little bit more than 4 years. And it's been an incredible journey till now.
Great, very inspiring. Yeah, Vanjam, what about you?
So, until 2017, I was in the States. I had my bachelor degree over there and also my professional training in diamond and gemstones. And 2017, as soon as I came back, it was a very interesting time to join the business because a lot of changes were happening at the time. Like it was the year of GST. So, and also we were changing banking partners. And the biggest thing was we just started developing our own software. So all those changes, I got to be a part of all those meetings that really helped me like fast track my training and understanding all the different aspects of the business. And while doing that, I was also shadowing my father and my uncle, just sitting with them and observing what they're doing and trying to figure out what my place would be within this organization and where I can add the most value. And over time, I found that maybe diamond department needs some family member exclusively taking care of it because of the nature of the business. Like my father and my uncle, they didn't have a lot of time to concentrate on diamond because of the volume in gold that we were achieving. So there was a lot of growth potential over there, and over time I took a look at the inventory, what was moving, what wasn't moving. And I was able to change the whole design philosophy of the diamond department, and we've achieved great results so far. It's not where we want to be yet, but hopefully we'll be there soon.
Great, amazing. Yeah, Adit, what about you? You got an interesting journey. Ajab.
I belong to a family of 7 doctors, right? We have a urologist, we have a gynecologist, an ophthalmologist, an orthopedic surgeon, an IVF specialist. And right from my childhood, I've seen their lifestyle. The lifestyle of a doctor, right? Waking up at 2 in the morning, at 4 in the morning, going for emergencies. So the first thing I was very clear at the age of 17 when I took the biology group to become a doctor is that I will not see a single patient in my life, because that is not the life I wanted for myself. And during the course of my MBBS, I realized one thing that, one thing I was good at is that I can work with doctors. I can't work with patients, but I can work with doctors. And at the same time, my father, he always had a passion project in the back of his head that he wanted to develop a multi-speciality hospital in the name of my grandparents. So so when I passed out from college is when the hospital was being made. So I kind of joined the management board of that hospital and started working right from the construction phase to the recruitment of doctors to the purchases of equipments, and also I kind of was a part of the process building the hospital from scratch. Fortunately, I was given the freedom by my family to do whatever I want with this hospital based on my experience of working in a government hospital, working with government doctors. And so that's how my journey in the healthcare management started in 2018. And somewhere in 2020, I realized that, I wanted to kind of get out of the shadow of the family that I belong to. And being the least educated doctor in the family, I knew that I had to do something else to kind of, have an identity of my own. And healthcare education is one thing where, I kind of exactly knew the pain points of students of India, that what are the issues, what are the loopholes. And that's when I decided to, start with 2 of my friends a startup called as Doc Tutorials, which is an online platform that helps medical students not just to be a better doctor, but it also helps them to clear their, the multiple entrance exams that a doctor goes through in their life. So that's how I ended up at this point in time.
Great, great. So you'll find the most interesting part in this panel discussion that we have the same questions, but the perspectives or the answers of different people are different. So that is what is enriching for us, right? So I come to my next question, which I should pose it to Vanjam, or the lady first, anyone can answer. The answer is, so you joined as a senior position in the organization. Yes. And there may be people who were there since you were not born. So what are the challenges you face when you come with, do they accept you? Or what are the things you do for that?
So that's a very relevant question, because most of our senior management, they've been with us for the last 15-20 years. They've played with us as kids and all. So I think the first day that you walk in, not as a family member, but someone who works for the organization, the only qualification you hold in their mind is that he's the boss's son, nothing else. So I think you have to build your credibility over time, and in any kind of relationship, there has to be a value addition on both sides. So in my case, I had formal training from GI in New York, that is Gemological Institute of America, and I was very technically proficient with diamonds and gemstones. So the staff members, my diamond department also realized that maybe there's something they can learn from me. And I obviously also recognize that these people have much more experience than me in sales. So there was a mutual respect that in this relationship we both have something to learn from each other. So I think over time there was an acceptance, because there was a value addition from both sides.
Yeah, so it's an unveiling of the secret which he's telling, right? So how do you gain respect when they're there? Kana, it happened with you also the same?
Yes, but I think I didn't really start off at a senior position. I went to one department, worked parallel to all of the other employees, saw what they were doing, just kept quiet for a very long time, absorbed everything that I could, understood the operations in and out before I give them suggestions how to do it better, and did that for a very long time. And after I went through all of the different departments, then I was at a level at which I could, tell something to somebody. till then I think it's very difficult for both the parties, me and that senior employee or junior employee, to listen to me. It's difficult for me because I'm just right out of my education, a fresh graduate, and even I don't know what to say to a seasoned executive who's been there in the organization for longer than I've been on this planet.
Yeah.
And that's the case. I have many employees who are 26, 27 years in the company. So, and after that training phase, after I got to that level, I still did not have a cabin to myself. I sat on a desk. So little things like that, and now that I have a cabin of myself, I still don't call them and come to the cabin and I want to discuss something. I go to their cabin and then talk to them about whatever I want to discuss. So it is a gradual phase, and I think you have to evolve to find your own place in the organization. It's not like an empty throne that you just come and sit and start giving orders.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work that way.
No, it's very challenging because, in corporate world when you're working, if I don't like, I quit.
Yeah.
But here you don't have a chance to do that. So I could understand what challenges you face. So Adit, what's your opinion? You might also be facing the same thing when you were in the organization.
So
people were not-
fortunately, I mean, the organization I worked in, so I was the first employee of the
Acha.
organization. The hospital started in 2018, so it's quite new. Earlier, we had so we didn't have a very asset heavy business before 2018. It was more into real estate, so not running it as a business. The hospital was the first ever, I would say, business in the entire family. So I recruited the first employees. I recruited the first doctors. The tough part, I would say, is that all the doctors that I recruited more or less worked with my father at some point in the 1980s or the 1990s, or they used to study with them. So recruiting them, for them to take me seriously, because these are the doctors that came from established other specialty hospitals, and for them to shift their entire base, come to an entirely new setup, which is, Vaishnav Devi was considered to be the farthest point of Ahmedabad back then. So to leave everything just, on my word, was something that did not happen in the first year. But I feel in any business, if the person in front of you sees that, this person talks logic, or this person at least understands the basic of the business, that's when, they start developing the trust on you. And once that happens, it's an easy ride.
Okay.
So facing this issue that both of them did, that, established employees who used to play with them as kids, that is something fortunately I never faced.
So Adit, is it imperative to join a family business? If yes, why, and if not, why?
I don't think it's imperative. It's a good thing if you have a established. It's like a cushion to have, which is a good thing. It's a feel good factor for anybody that okay, there is something that I can go to after my college or after doing everything else. But I feel if you're joining anything, you have to like it. That's the only thing. Passion, I think it follows. But if you're liking what you're doing, whether it's your family business or any other job also, that is the most important thing. And after that, everything else, it gets taken care of.
Okay.
So it's not imperative. I wouldn't say that.
Okay. So Kahana, disruption in your working pattern. A disruption in the working pattern is that in your industry, it is a male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
And when you joined, did you find any problem in that, or any hurdle or something like that?
I still do sometimes that if I enter a meeting with my father and some employees, they don't even greet me or look at me. So that happens. But I think by now I'm used to it, and in my head, I don't see myself as a female trying to enter or break barriers into the male-dominated industry, because the moment I start thinking like that, I think the first person who considers me inferior will be my own self. So it's difficult, but at the same time, I don't know how it would have been if I would have been a male. So this is the only thing that I've seen, and this is the only journey I have been on. And like he said, that after somebody sees that you're talking logic, you know what you're talking about, people start respecting you. So after that, it's not easy. The first time with that person is always difficult, even today. But after the second time, sometimes even they ask कि आज बेटी नहीं आई, आज बेटी को लेके नहीं आए, तो ऐसा होता है. पर then it gets easier with time. And also now I think that a lot of females are entering the business, maybe not real estate, but then there are some female brokers, or we've had one engineer who's a female, my MEP consultant for a huge project is a female. So now there are, people are accepting females in this industry.
Great.
It's changing, the times are changing.
Yeah.
For sure.
So very interesting, all these experiences when you're sharing. So Vanjam, what was the fear and apprehension when you joined a legacy brand which was more than 70 years old and suddenly comes to your shoulders to a limited responsibility? What was the apprehension and what was the fear you had here? कि अपने क्या करेंगे ऐसा?
So I think by default only whoever is joining the family business, they'll start feeling pressure from the first day.
Yeah.
Like they have, like my older generations, they worked so hard. Like in the 90s, they used to go around in scooters selling jewelry. So you hear those stories and you meet the people in the industry also. Then you know that like not only the clients but even the industry leaders all over India, they know and respect your older generations. So there's always that pressure about like whatever you're doing, like in terms of the industry, the showroom, like there are eyes on you and everyone's looking at you, and you have to uphold that legacy. And like it's always in the back of the mind that whatever I do, it's going to somehow affect 𝒏𝒆𝒏𝒔 in a positive or negative way. It's never neutral. So that's always on the back of the mind. It's not like in 2017 when I joined. It's still to this day it's true. Like it's a very public organization, and whatever I do is going to affect 𝒏𝒆𝒏𝒔 in some or the other way.
So that pressure makes you work more harder.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So Adit, you have your own business, right? So how do you define leadership? Because you might be also having a lot of people working under you and with the team. So having from business, family, and also started your own, how do you define leadership?
So I don't have a definition of leadership, but I feel anyone who's leading a particular department or an organization has to be in sync with the team under them. So, right from recruiting the right people to training them, to working with them, to solving issues is something that a leader should have it ingrained. Leadership, I don't think can be taught. I think a lot of people in their companies, even if that's an MNC, people have tried to teach leadership, but leadership is something that always comes from within. And you might never be able to judge a person whether this person is going to be a good leader or not. It's when you start working with them, you understand their psyche, how they work, what are they passionate about, how much ownership are they ready to take, of the company, is when you start to realize that, this is the person that can be a leader. And when I joined, when second gen or third gen people join, they don't have an option, they have to be a leader, right? So we have to, I have learned along the way of what leadership means, how I, to use my leadership skills to kind of make sure that my team is executing everything that, the vision I have.
Great. Another interesting question, you have a wisdom of your seniors who've been there in business for many years. And there may be a conflict that you want to start a new trend which is not accepted by the senior people. So how do you handle it? Or can you give me some examples of that?
It happens all the time.
Okay.
They have very strict notions that this is how a thing can be done.
Yeah.
And if they've tried it, sometimes if they've tried it and they've failed, so whenever I give a new suggestion, the first response is often like, "આ તો અમે કરી લીધું છે, આ બધું ના થાય, આ તો ના થાય." But fortunately for me, my father has given me that space to make mistakes, and he lets me try different things, and so I have his permission to try, but I still have to convince the other members of the organization to go along with that change, which is the most difficult part, I feel. What I have done is don't give them orders or don't tell them what to do. Rather, sit with them, talk about the problem and ask them for suggestions, and then maybe add a line and say, "આવું કંઈ કરીએ તો કેવું રહે?" And then they have a more open mind approach to the problem, and then they're more likely to accept the change. Many times, for example, in my industry, we have crores worth of inventory coming in and coming out, steel, cement, etc. And they just write it on a notebook. which I feel is very risky. So I tried to introduce an ERP system. But before I went to that level, I introduced Excel. Excel is commonly used in offices, so that was a smaller shift that they had to make. So just entering, instead of writing in that notebook, I just told them that you can do this, it's easy, and it's much quicker. If you want an answer, it's much quicker. Then they're more likely to accept it. Don't bring big changes overnight. I think go gradual with it, and then people, once they see that yes, it's helping, I don't think I'll have any problem in setting up a new ERP system today if I want to, because now they've already started using technology to help them solve their issues.
Yeah, great. Vanjam, what about you?
I think in our case, luckily our older generations are very open to change, and me and my cousin, we have been encouraged to bring positive changes to the organization, and we are given the freedom to try something new. But honestly, if there is a conflict and if I'm reasonably confident and if the downside is lower, my policy is asking for forgiveness is better than asking for permission.
Yeah. So when you do this, the team accepts it, right?
Yeah.
Or you make them accept the new trends which is there in the industry. That's what you were trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, whether it be technological change like a new software or a new way of like maybe checking the stock, or we are soon introducing RFID to our stocks, so things like that.
Okay.
Like that is like that. Those are the changes that relate to like that I have to apply to my staff. The changes that I understood that you asked for, like big picture changes. Like maybe how much you want to invest additional in the inventory and those kind of things. I think if there's a conflict, I would still, since I'm given the freedom, I would still trust my instincts and try to do something. And if it doesn't work out, I know I have the support of the older generations.
Yeah, you have been very lucky in that case, right? So Adit, you are, I am very much fascinated because you're an entrepreneur also and you're also handling the family business. So what do you think the role which you are doing nowadays has changed over time? You might have given some 7-8 years now. Yeah. So what happened 7 years back and now? Is there any big drastic change which you was watching?
So I mean, I have an OCD that I have to get into every small detail of every small department. So that's how. So on day one, I used to go and speak to everyone, discuss the issues that they're having, speak about the staff issues that they're having, however minor. So over time in the family business, I have taken a step back from these smaller issues. Over the time, I have recruited CXOs to kind of handle those issues. I do check now and then. I go randomly on Google reviews to see if there's a bad review, or randomly go to a patient's room and just ask that, how are you, or how was your experience of, say, the food or the nurses, to just be on top of it and just to make people aware that, okay, I might come and check in your department randomly at any given time. So in my hospital business, I have taken a step back now from, checking those minor things. But when I started my other, the startup, again, I had to start the same journey, getting into the details from day one. But I think that's going to be there for any new business that you start. Initially, in the first 3-4 years, you have to make sure that the person on the ground knows what they're doing, the systems on the ground are stable and set, and then you can start venturing out, focusing on other things, focusing on expansion.
Yeah, very interesting. One question which comes to my mind, see, I've been into corporate, now I started my own. But when I relate it, in corporate world, I can take leave and do my own things. And I can fulfill my aspirations which I have. What happens to you? Because you are compromising a lot of aspirational thing. How do you balance it? Or do you compromise? Yes, I could have done this.
I'm in that phase right now.
Okay.
It is very difficult because if we take leaves, it's and it's not, we don't have rules that you can only take up to these many leaves per month or per year. But you also have to be the most sincere person in the company. In real estate, I feel that our industry is very cyclical in nature, that before launching or during the launch of a new project, we're extremely busy and it becomes very difficult to take time off for yourself or go to pursue your traveling or your hobbies, anything of that sort. But after the launch and once the operations are more streamlined, it's easier to take time off for yourself and then take some days off. But if we talk about day-to-day scenario, then I think that I just use my mornings the most. I wake up early, finish my gym, I like to work out, I do all of that, and then go ahead with the rest of the day.
Great, great.
But it is difficult.
Yeah, it's not so easy.
Yeah, it's not easy.
So what about Ranjami? Same thing, it happens?
Yeah, it happens, but like for any business, for the promoters, there is no turn-off switch. Like for employees, like as soon as they leave, they would turn off and they would do their own thing. But for promoters, like directors, there is absolutely no turn-off switch. You are constantly thinking about the next day or something that happened during that day. So it's very important to give time for yourself. Like if I understand that there are it's my responsibility to finish this task. So I would work on that task first, but then I make sure I have time for myself also to pursue my hobbies. Because if we don't, at the end of the day, this is the business and money, that's not the most important part of life. You have to pursue your hobbies. Like I like traveling, so every few months I like to take a short trip, but I make sure my work is done first.
So there's a big message here. What a young person like Vanjam is saying, the money is not everything. You have to enjoy life, which a lot of youngsters don't understand, or they're into the run of getting the money out, right? So Adit, you might have also failed in many of the instances in the organization. So any specific example you failed and then you learned out of it?
Fortunately, I have not made a very big mistake that I would remember. But there have been small instances where I've tried to execute an idea and it has not panned out the way I wanted to, or whether it be a marketing campaign or a customer service experience thing, or etc. But over the last 6-7 years, I have understood where I was going wrong, and the core issue came out to be that I was not asking the end customer, what do you want? Or what's going to make your life easy? What's going to make your life comfortable? I should be executing that. But I was executing something that I thought they would like. Across, I think, the last 7 years, there must be 10-15 things that I did that kind of didn't turn out the way they did, and this was the core issue because I never spoke to them.
Great. So at least I appreciate that you accept that. Usually
that was the core issue. All the mistakes I made, this was the core issue.
Great. Yeah, Kana, what about you?
I don't think I've made big mistakes because today it's just been 4 years since I've started working, and my father still overlooks over me. But yes, there have been many small things here and there. Most of the times it's the case that I've worked very hard for this one thing, and then eventually maybe somebody tells me, or I feel that maybe it's not the right decision to go this way. But then just because I've worked that hard, I've spent a lot of energy, time, and sometimes money, I used to still go ahead with that decision of mine. But after a point, I learned that even if you worked very hard, which is very important, but you also need to know when to give up or quit. Not everything is meant to happen, or you don't have to do each and everything to the end. You can quit if it feels wrong.
Great. Vanjam, you would like to add something to it?
For me, since I was given the freedom from the very start to handle the department as I see fit, there was bound to be some mistakes, nothing major, but obviously that's how we learn. You make some decisions, some work, some don't, and you own up to those mistakes and learn from them. That's how you grow.
Okay.
So nothing specific, but maybe in some instances I would not guess how much we'll sell in the next month correctly, not forecast properly, and then based on that I would add more to the inventory. And things like that we keep tweaking, but that's how you grow.
Oh, good.
I think in a large organization, when you have a lot of people behind you also, they also kind of prevent major mistakes from happening without you even knowing.
So that's the wisdom which works.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So, before we come to the audience, I have two more questions to go, which is a very interesting one. Is that, what is the biggest wisdom you received from your seniors? That this is the wisdom which I will never forget and never compromise.
I think, as I said earlier, the roots that my older generations came from, like in the 90s, the hard work that they put into the business. So that I think that would be the biggest thing. The commitment and consistency they've put in all these years. Like even now, they don't stop. Like if I talk about my grandfather, he's still in the store before any of us. So that kind of commitment and consistency, I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned.
Great. Oh, Kana, what about you?
I've been told by my uncle, there are 3 chairs to doing a business: Choksai, Chikash and Chivat. So make sure you follow those 3 always, all the time. And then you can prevent most of the mistakes from happening. Apart from that, I've learned from my family and from my seniors that always be very ethical, very honest, have the purest intentions. God saves you from certain mistakes and you are on the right track if you take care of those things. Apart from the obvious entrepreneurship lessons that they're constantly giving us, these are the overall lessons that I've learned.
So for the audience benefit, can you please elaborate the 3 chairs which you're talking about?
So, Chivat is attention to detail, not micromanaging, but attention to detail. You should know, can't really elaborate much on attention to detail, it's quite literal. Chikash should be optimum utilization of your resources in terms of money, in terms of HR, everything. And Choksai, yes. Be very particular, don't be careless. I think that's about it.
Okay. I hope you got a lot of wisdom today from the young entrepreneurs. Yeah.
It's quite literal. I think if somebody is Gujarati, I think they've heard these words.
No, there are a lot of
Yeah.
people like me.
They're very old school words.
Very,
Even me. Being
probably
Gujarat
I've been
person.
hearing it since a very long time.
Yeah. Good. So, Adit, what's the wisdom? It's a treasure
The
for
one
you.
thing I have learned from my parents is that always strive for perfection. There are very few perfect things in the world, very few perfect companies, very few perfect ideas and visions that have been executed. So, and striving for perfection for that you require all the 3 things that she just said. So if you're striving for perfection, if your whatever you're doing, if it's perfect, nobody can beat you, and you'll always come out as number 1.
Great. Now, what's the vision of the company you're working for? Your vision, huh?
I don't have a fancy vision statement that I can put on a website, but of course I want to take my company in a upward trajectory, but I'd like to expand I'd like to do some more horizontal integration in different markets, different segments than what has been done in my family since the past decades. I'd like to explore new segments,
Panjam?
give it shots.
I think I want AB to be the one-stop solution for any kind of jewelry requirement. It still is, but in a bigger way, like including digital presence, like e-commerce. I want AB to be there in a big way. We are a little late to the party, but we still have time to make up for it. So that would be my dream statement.
Great. Adit, what about you? What's the...
Well, so for the 2 companies that I have, one is the hospital, of course, and my vision with the hospital has been the same since day one, is to do things that are not done in the world, or are not done in India, of course, to begin with. And in terms of healthcare, of course, to give the people of Gujarat and India healthcare services that are affordable, but you won't get anywhere else in the world the kind of quality that I want to give to the patients. So one example is we did a lung transplant that nobody has done. So we did 5 lung transplants now, which nobody in Gujarat has done. So that was a step that we took. So I try to think of more and more things that are happening around the world but not in India, and try to bring them to India and at an affordable cost. So that is my vision with the hospital. And of course, with my EdTech startup, the vision is to, give India better doctors, better skilled doctors and better knowledgeable doctors, because, that is something I really want to do for my community, is to provide a source, a platform through which, they can become better clinicians.
Great. A big round of applause for such thinking. Yeah, I compliment you and wish you all the best for that same, right? And before we come to the audience, I definitely thank you very much for giving so much of insight from the horse's mouth. It comes out that what is to be done. So any of the individual who wants to be the next generation entrepreneur, you should be aware of all this. And also people who are the entrepreneurs right now and the next generation coming, for them also there was a lot of messages, right? So I'm open to audience questions. Any audience who want to ask questions? Yeah, please. You can speak your name and then, yeah.
Yeah, hi, I'm Heath. I just moved back from US, so a couple of questions, one for Vanjam and one for Kana. For you, Vanjam, do you think the jewelry market is shrinking because Gen Z is more focusing on gadgets and other stuff? And for Kanha, I think I forgot the question, so maybe.
So before joining the business, I used to think that, okay, gold jewelry not so cool, maybe I want to look into something else. I had that thing in my mind, but over time I learned that the beauty of this business is the underlying asset, the underlying investment that it provides. So I think as long as gold is seen as a viable investment, this business is nowhere to go, it cannot shrink.
Understood. The question I had for Kana was, which horizontal segments were you alluding to?
So, since the last 2 decades, we've heavily focused on affordable housing. But now I want to explore newer segments, maybe get into commercial. I think we're going to launch a new project, which is a huge commercial project, just commercial, and we're straying from our original ideas of being very strong in affordable housing segment. So it's very easy for us to just launch a new project into affordable housing and get good cash flows and be done with the project in 2.5 years. But now I think it's time to get out of that comfort zone, get into newer markets, and give other segments also a shot and expand that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, please. Yeah, at the last we would go to the lady there at the last. Yeah, there are 2 hands which have been raised. Yeah, we'll come to you also, sir. Now we'll give you the mic.
Hello sir, hello ma'am, I'm Sakshi Patel, and I would like to ask sir that do you think that you need to make changes or any training that is to be done by your employee?
Yeah, the question's for you, yeah.
I think training is needed at all points. It's the same as asking, do you need to eat every day? It's basically the same question. So you need to train your staff like whenever possible. Like you need to refresh their knowledge, and I think it's imperative for any kind of business.
Yes, exactly, because changes are not that would happen in a day or in a night. So it is something which takes longer time.
Yes.
That's why I just like to ask this question.
Yeah. So any kind of even a small change would require training, and like repetition is the best form of training.
Yes.
For any kind of change. So yes, that is very important.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I would like to add further. You provide some special training to your employees?
Yes, so just recently, so it came out of a problem. So we had a challenge of like hiring good photo editors. Like we have an in-house photography team, and we had a challenge where we wanted to edit photos faster, because sending them out to get edited, it's not it's not viable in terms of finance or time. So we had some members of the team get trained professionally in post-production, and we were able to achieve what we wanted, like save money and save time.
It seems you guys are HR guys, right?
Yes, sir. I am from HR student and HR profession as well.
Okay, great. So you could be answered well. You got the answer?
Yes, but my another question is ready.
No, two?
So I would like to go further.
Acha, ready?
That-
Okay.
Yeah. So my question is, have you handled conflict in your management? Or I would like to add further, have you managed conflict between staff members and also between management team?
I think it's for me only, right?
Is it for him?
Vanjam bhai, it's for you, and Adit bhai.
Okay. So I think the biggest thing for any leader is to be fair and like hear all the sides and make a fair decision. I think that's the most.
But I would like to add.
Sorry?
I would like to add something on that.
Sure.
You want to answer?
I would like to add something. I would
Add
want-
question or an
Yes,
answer?
Question.
Okay.
I would like to add question. But if sometimes it happens कि हमारे मैनेजमेंट टीम ने एक ही पर्सन ने डिसीजन लिया हो और वो गलत भी हो सकता है उस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के मुताबिक, क्योंकि समटाइम्स इट हैपन्स कि कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को पूरी तरह से जज नहीं किया जाता और फेयर डिसीजन नहीं होता. Sometimes it happens with me
So-
also it happened.
So it's true. Like sometimes things like that can happen, but like as a leader, like if you're on the top level of management, it's impossible to get all the ground views for any incident. So you have to think about the organization, what is good for the organization, and make a decision that way, like based on what you see and hear, and like trust your management basically.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Great. Yeah, you wanted to ask. Yeah, please. हाँ वो माइक आ रहे हैं सुरेश जी आपके पास. फ्रंट रो.
Question for Adit. Adit, you're leading two projects, I understand, right? One has a family legacy name attached. It might be started by you, but there is a family legacy and name. In some sense, there's a little higher responsibility towards the family. And the other project is something that is your personal passion project. And that's a responsibility towards yourself and your mission, vision, and dream. How do you tend to balance? It's almost like raising two babies at one go, right? I mean, is there an internal conflict in the sense that you ideally want to devote an X amount of time on the hospital project, but startup just needs you as much? Is it as difficult as I make it out to be, or is it smooth?
So my startup is based out of Hyderabad. So over the last 3 months, I have actually shifted to Hyderabad, and I come to Ahmedabad for 5 to 6 days a week. So that's the time I devote to my hospital. But of course, when you're leading an organization that has 1,000 employees, you recruited 200 doctors that trust you and your face and your word. You can never have a segregated time that, okay, I'm going to give this much time to this project. But over the last 5 years, when I was completely focusing on the hospital, I tried to set some systems where I was not required. So whether it be like a very small thing or a major thing like recruiting a doctor or issues of a doctor, I kind of recruited a team. I made mistakes also, but finally I got a team that can handle situations up till a certain level. After that is when my requirement comes into the picture. That's when I come in. I never shy away from those situations, because I know that those are certain situations that only I can handle, or if I enter the picture only then it can be resolved. So there can never, even if I start a third project, there can never be a clear demarcation of how much time to give to which project. But since that one project is 5 years old, it's more or less settled. I have devoted a little more time to my new project, trying to get it to the same level, and maybe then I might start a third project. Let's see, we never know.
Great. Yeah, on the front. Ganatra sab, yeah.
So in hospitals, we don't have ISO, we have a thing called NABH, which is by the Quality Council of India. So they have 7 certifications, and there are about 3 other which are international level certifications. So we have all 10 of them. And the reason I was very clear from day one, I want whatever certificates possible in the entire world, which are, which have very strict regulations, I want all of them. Because in the back of my mind, I wanted all my processes to be according to international level. So that if those come into the picture, the entire system comes into, falls in one line. Of course, I mean, even after getting those certification, I would say that the compliance is still 90%. But that 5% or 10% human error is going to be there in any company. So that is the compromise I have to make with myself.
And it's a continuous process.
Yeah, so every 2 years I have to renew all 10 of them. So everyone is on their toes every day. So it's all documentation and following certain processes.
Any other hospital in Ahmedabad?
I think the top 3-4 hospitals do have all the certificates required because it's more of a prestige thing. So, and also it's not very unaffordable to get those certificates. It's within the range. So, but the top hospitals, they have those certificates as well.
Just a minute, sir. We are coming to you. Yeah.
We don't really do certificates like that. We buy from companies who have certificates. We make sure our purchases are from companies who have those things in place. But we personally haven't done it yet.
I think at some point in the past we had some sort of certifications like that, but like this was way before I joined the business, and for some reason we had decided not to renew it. I'm guessing because it wasn't viable for our particular industry.
Yeah, sir.
My question is,
1 minute, sir. Mic.
I think I
Okay. Please, go ahead.
okay. My question is, how you are contributing to enhance the legacy and the brand value of your company?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can take that question. I feel the generation before me, they had a certain vision when they started the business, right? And that is one vision that I, as a second generation, have to fulfill. What I add are my new ideas, are the new technology that comes into, that are devised in the world. So by adding those newer things, updating, and being in line with where the world is in terms of, if I talk about healthcare, what the world is doing in healthcare, if I'm trying to get that here and in my business and nobody else is doing it, and if I'm the first one to do it, that's how I will add to my particular business. So at the same time, keeping the vision of the previous generation intact, I have to add by doing things that they never thought of or they never dreamt of.
I think my question is both to 𝒏𝒆𝒏𝒔 and
For me, so when I joined the business, there was a clear gap in the diamond department. So I decided to take that vertical and transform it completely. That was my contribution so far. And I'm looking into enhancing our digital exposure, like e-commerce websites and all that. I'm looking into that. That's how I have decided to add to the brand value of 𝒏𝒆𝒏𝒔. And on top of that, before I joined the business, I trained myself at the world's foremost institution in Gemological Institute of New York to become technically proficient in all things diamond and gemstones, which I'm proud to say I don't know anyone else from Ahmedabad who has done that. So I think that's how I added value to the organization.
Great.
I think my family's legacy is more about honesty and ethics in real estate industry, where sometimes it is often rare to get that. One thing that I have I'm talking about small changes that I have made for the legacy question that you had. If somebody cancels their booking of an apartment in our organization, I've made sure that they get all their money back in less than 24 hours. Many times builders just don't give that money back, or they make them lag for payments. They have to do multiple calls. Here it's directly deposited into your account in less than 24 hours. For suppliers, I'd say that I'd negotiate really, really hard to get longer payment terms, but once that the payment terms are done, I've made sure that not a single supplier has been delayed with their payments by even a single day. And about expansion, I'm doing the things that I said, that trying to get into different segments of the industry, different markets, and all of that.
Yeah.
मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे है तो जैसे एक तो ओम शांति कहते हैं तो स्पिरिचुअल एक फीलिंग आती है और बकेरी ग्रुप बोलते हैं तो एक रियल एस्टेट प्रोफेशनल तो एक आपकी लाइफ में आगे बढ़ना है आपको तो उसी संदर्भ से आपका थिंकिंग ऑफ गोल्स क्या रहेगा। सेकंड ये है कि क्या आपने स्टार्ट किया कैरियर और जो फिल्म तो एक उसी समय ऐसा था आपके मन में कि यही एक स्टेज आएगा और उसी लाइन से आगे जाना है। और थर्ड क्वेश्चन है 𝒊𝒏𝒆𝒓𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒐𝒏 तो यंग एज हो आप तो कहीं पर तो कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ करना पड़ेगा तो इन तीन चीज़ों का मैं जानना चाहता हूँ।
आपका सेकंड क्वेश्चन कि क्या मुझे पहले से पता था कि मैं यही करूँगी, तो नहीं, मुझे नहीं पता था कि मैं पापा के बिजनेस में ही जाऊँगी। आई हैड अदर आइडियाज़ कि ये भी कर सकते हैं, ये भी कर सकते हैं। वो पता था कि कोई प्रोफेशन नहीं होगा, कि लॉयर ऐसा कुछ नहीं बन पाऊँगी। आई नीड अ बिजनेस की जो हर रोज मुझे कुछ ना कुछ अलग अलग चेंजेस मिलते रहे, वरना मैं पर्सनली बहुत जल्दी बोर हो जाती हूँ एक की एक चीज़ कर करके। तो ये ऐसा भी है कि बिजनेस करना था। फिर जब वापस आई पढ़ने के बाद, पापा को भी एक्चुअली रिटायर होना था। ही वॉज ऑन द वर्ज ऑफ रिटायरिंग ये लास्ट 2 प्रोजेक्ट्स करके कि बहुत कमा लिया, बहुत काम कर लिया, अब थोड़ा ट्रैवल करना है। और फिर मैंने ज्वाइन किया, तो पापा को भी काम करना पड़ रहा है आज, क्योंकि मैं अब ज्वाइन हो गई। तो पहले से कुछ पता नहीं था, मैंने पढ़ा भी बिजनेस ही पढ़ा, वरना जो पहले से पता होता तो शायद इंजीनियरिंग प्लस MBA ऐसा कुछ करती। या आपका थर्ड क्वेश्चन कि हाँ, कॉम्प्रोमाइज होता है। कॉम्प्रोमाइज के बदले आई थिंक गलतियाँ होती है। कॉम्प्रोमाइज जान के कभी नहीं करते, बट समटाइम्स इट हैपेंस कि हाँ ये देखना रह गया, पर थोड़ा उसके लिए स्टाफ पे भी रिलाई बहुत करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि अब जब थोड़ा एस्टैब्लिश बिजनेस हो जाए तब पॉसिबल है कि हर छोटी चीज़ में आप इन्वॉल्व रहो, वरना बड़ी चीज़ें वहाँ से ध्यान चला जाता है। तो होता है कॉम्प्रोमाइज, गलतियाँ भी होती है, पर स्ट्राइव करने का कि यू डू योर बेस्ट टू अचीव ऑल दोस 3 as much as you can। आपका फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या था?
स्पिरिचुअल और रियल एस्टेट, कॉर्पोरेट और
हाँ, मेरा पापा का अलग ही कंपनी है। माय फादर इज तरल बकेरी, हु इज प्रफुल्ल बकेरी's son. So he has never worked in Bakeri Group. He always had his own company. So I just know about Om Shanti Estates and of course Bakeri Group, but Dad was never involved in that as a business. But spiritual.
It could be the name only. Name पर feeling आता है। नाम बोलते हैं कि feeling आता है कि नहीं, हाँ ओम शांति तो एक spiritual।
हाँ, मैं अभी भी कभी ट्राई करती हूँ कि थोड़ा मॉडर्न नाम लाओ ब्रांड को, तो पापा को नहीं पसंद आता कि नो दिस इज मोर स्पिरिचुअल, पीपल कैन कनेक्ट, तो वो होता है।
यस, तो जैसे आपका एक थिंकिंग है कि एक अफोर्डेबल हाउसेस तो उसी तरह से।
Hello everyone, I am Anurag Jain. I work at Global Insurance Brokers. My question to everyone is that one of the happiest moment that you had into your entire entrepreneurial journey.
I think for me it would be my first sale. You know, never forget your first, right? So.
I think for me it was when I acquired a land from many farmers. It was just me who had done the deal. There were no other, my father wasn't there in the meeting. No other senior employees were there in the meeting, but I could successfully do all the negotiations perfectly like I had in mind, get the right deal, get the right terms. I think that was a very proud moment for me, that I can sit in front of 8 men, because usually farmers, they have a family and each son has some share. So all of them come in the meetings. And you're the only person and you look like a small, inexperienced person, and then you have to deal with them. Which I had butterflies before going to the meeting, but then I came out successfully. So that is something that I'm really proud and happy about.
Great.
I mean, in my startup, abhi wo moment aaya nahi hai. That is what I'm struggling for. But in my hospital, I feel, as I just said that, the most complex surgery in the entire world is a heart and lung transplant. And we were the first hospital that did it in Gujarat, and it was successful, and the patient is now happy and running and living his life. So that was something that, when we achieved that, that was like, the biggest validation that, whatever I'm doing, whatever my ideas are, I'm on the right track.
Great, yeah. Back, yeah, the second row, please. वो पीछे एक बार घूमो.
Good evening, everyone. I have an open question to the panel that I've been attending this seminar since day one, and the positive side and right side of the business has been talked on this platform. I just wanted to know that what about the hard times in the business? How do you deal with them? At some point of your career, there would be some phase that your company is struggling with something. So how would you deal with them?
I think I'd like to answer this question that like you said, there are many pros to having a family business, but one of the cons, and I think it is the most important con, is that you have to take utmost care that you don't strain your relationship with the previous generation, because there's a lot of decision making, there's a lot of arguments and debates that you have to have with the previous generation. So you really have to take care that you have to put the relationship first. If you're fighting with your boss, if you're fighting with another employee, it's just an employee or it's just your boss. You can always get a new job, but this is your father or your uncle, and you don't want a bad relationship with them. I think that is something that fathers and the next generation both have to be extremely careful about, keeping that first.
Yeah, could we answer? You got the answer? Yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, please.
Sanjay bhai, I have a follow-up question that might add to this. Vanjam said a beautiful statement that as an entrepreneur, you cannot switch off. So the 3 chairs that Kanha talk about, there's a 4th chair to an entrepreneur's life, and that is constant chinta. Because, I mean, while Adit looks very comfortable here, there's always, he knows that there's a hospital, there's a patient, and there's some cardiac arrest, and there's something there. So what's your coping mechanism? Because for all of you, I think coming from large business legacies, it was easy for you to have taken up a job in McKinsey, switch off your phone at Friday, 6 o'clock, have a glass of wine, switch on the phone on Monday mornings. But what one is your stress mechanism? Because at the end of the day, you know you could have played a comfortable life. So if both of you or any of you would like to answer that.
I think for me, for all entrepreneurs or businessmen, your mind is constantly working, whether you're on a trip or anywhere else. And to switch off my mind, I watch shows, however terrible they are. But while I'm watching them, my mind is thinking about that show, so I am off work. So that is my coping mechanism, is that I would have probably watched mostly all of them that are there on all platforms. Because even if it's a 15-minute, if I want to switch off my mind, I'll watch something for 15 minutes and then get back to work.
I think pretty much the same for me. If I want to switch off, I would, if I'm not able to travel or anything, then I would just turn on my PlayStation, play a few games, like play some FIFA, something like that, and maybe like read a little, and pursue my other hobbies, like play some sports. I play tennis once in a while, so I try to do that.
I'm still struggling. I haven't figured it out how to do it yet. Yes. I like to travel a lot. I like adventures. So whenever I can get the time to go off for a few days, I'm into some adventure sports which I can rely on, but on a daily basis, I struggle. I still have to figure it out.
So I think we are through with the questions. You got a last question to an elderly person there, yeah. We take the last question there. Yeah.
I, Arvind Chauhan. I see the next generation, young Dr. Adit Desai sir, a very good example that hospital, K.D. Hospital is very good infrastructure and very good management, and so many persons are satisfied with the administration of this hospital. We are getting a message of appointment in our mobile as soon as we convey over phone, and it may be established under the Trust Act, but it is very good services like private hospital, more than private hospital. So we are very much satisfied. This management is very good management, I can say.
Okay, so it's a good compliment
From
to.
beginning of this
I thought
hospital,
तुम्हें complain करवाना था कि आनंद मारे
from
आउट
beginning of this hospital, from first day, I am only visiting that hospital.
Thank you sir,
So
means a lot.
It's a very, very good sign of compliment. Yeah. So thank you very much, all of you, to be here, and we are enriched today, and we treasure a lot of learnings which you have all shared here. Right, Malika, all yours. Yeah.
Before we conclude, I would request all of you to please fill up the feedback forms. We also have a QR code in case you have not filled up the hard copy. Please fill it up with the help of the QR code. And well, I should say that this has been a very enlightening and an enriching evening with this next gen that we had amidst us today. And I was very impressed with all the answers that were so honest and came straight from the heart. We feel that they must be getting served everything on a platter, but no, they also have to go through all the drills and grills. It's not that easy as we think. And I hope to see you all again. We look forward to having you in AMA once again. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chakravarti, for these wonderful conversation that you had with them. Thank you.
Ajay bhai, switch off.